This video is brought to you by OpenVPP and Ionna. OpenVPP, a global virtual power plant for electric vehicles. See vehicles charging across the world and zoom in to see real-time charging status in what aims to be the world's largest vehicle virtual power plant. OpenVPP allows you to track charging history, energy usage, and daily trips, comparing your usage versus others, day to day and month to month. With OpenVPP, we're working together to showcase the potential of EV charging to electric grid operators. There may even be future coordinated EV charging rewards coming soon. So sign up today at world.openvpp.energy. It's completely free to join and takes under 60 seconds. And Ionna, the EV charging network brought to you by the world's leading automakers. Ionna is raising the bar on what it means to charge. We're talking a 400 kilowatt minimum nationwide network built with the customer in mind. Fast, reliable, affordable, every single time. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. It is the end of an era, or at least a transitional era, if you will. This is our XCharge Net Zero series battery integrated DC charger that we have run at our old office in Colorado at the powerhouse here in Fort Collins for a long while. I'm going to go through all the statistics with you and make sure you know exactly everything that's come out of this charger. But we're actually dismantling it right now, not because it doesn't work. It's been working wonderfully and it's served the community well and it's been a great resource for folks here. But as you may have seen in recent videos, Out of Spec has moved and is finalizing the move to the East Coast, out to North Carolina. And as part of our final moving process this week, I wanted to bring our XCharge out east for some other projects. And the original intent was to have this here for about a year. We've done that and some more, and now it's time to move on. So we're not just going to be ripping this out and leaving a hole in the ground. I have a pretty cool replacement as well, just so the folks that use the powerhouse building here still have DC charging. I just have a specific need where I need to bring this battery integrated unit out east, and I think it's kind of time to do a rejuvenated story with it in a really cool way. So in this episode, let's unplug our XCharge unit. We'll go through all the data and then I'll tell you what's coming next here. Well, the guys from Marion came up. These are the same folks who installed it, and they are just absolute pros. I love working with Marion on charger installations. They do a lot of Colorado and just this whole area of the country's DC fast charging installs, and they were super cool to come up on a last minute notice and come to dismantle our XCharge Net Zero series. I'll tell you more about the charger here in a second, but we're over here at the powerhouse, and I don't think I've shown you this, or at least not in full detail. One of the things that we were able to do with the Net Zero series battery integrated unit was this used to be level 2 charging, just like an old 7 kilowatt level 2 charger, and it was fine, but we clearly needed a little bit more throughput, especially with Out of Spec operating here. We needed to charge cars quick all the time and hammer on this thing. So we could not run a super high power connection from the building out to the parking lot without boring a complete new line, and that would have been quite expensive. So what we ended up doing was we repurposed the existing conduit that fed the level 2 chargers. We moved it from 208 volt to 480, which this building, literally called the powerhouse, had 480 already installed, which was wonderful. And then we were able to get about 30, I can't remember exactly, but somewhere around 30 kilowatts of power into the battery on this. Then, of course, it would slow charge our 230 kilowatt hour battery pack and output right around 180 kilowatts on the output side. We have 400 amp cables in boost mode, maybe 450. They were just upgraded. Scott did a whole video. I'll leave everything down below. We've done so many videos on this charger and it's been so cool. But because we replaced a level 2 with DC charging, the intent was always to have level 2 charging. Level 2 charging is so much better for workplace. It's easier on your car. We have a lot of Nissan Leafs here. Of course, it's a university in Colorado. There just seems to be a high amount of professors and students driving Leafs. It's a very educational type vehicle. And I own a couple Leafs. I'm a Leaf apologist. And I have this unit installed. So we installed this Autel level 2 station, and it's a dual 80 amp output if wired up that way. We were also dealing with a limited conduit size from here to here. So you can see we're running let's just take a look at the stats. Boom, how many amps are we doing here? We're doing 48 amps, but I think we do 60 amps split. So it's, if I remember correctly, you know, one car, of course, can get 48 amps. Two cars would get 30 and 30, I think is how it's done. Don't remember exactly, but either way, this has been working wonderfully, and it's just a level 2 station here. That's way better than having to put your car on a DC charger and then remember to move it in 45 minutes to an hour. The problem with this right now is actually getting it hooked up to the CSU connection, like their whole Wi-Fi situation. They have it all locked down for security, so that's been a little bit of a pain point, but the actual hardware has been working wonderfully. It's just had some connection issues to get everything dialed in. There's the famous Toyota forklift. We love that one. Been featured a few times on Out of Spec. It's so nice to be back here in Colorado at the office. So anyway, because we put DC charging here, we added level 2 there. So we put more charging infrastructure in, and you know, now we're going to be dismantling this charger and taking it. So what's going to come next? Let me tell you what's going to happen, and then we'll watch the dismantling process. So because I put that level 2 Autel station right over here at the building, I thought it would be easiest and maybe the least friction to also install an Autel DC charger right here. I could, of course, have returned this back to a level 2 station, but I talked to the folks here at Powerhouse, and they're like, we really like having DC charging. It's a cool thing for the community, but primarily this is meant to be closed access behind the fence charging. We just had, you know, I know some viewers have come by and used it from time to time, but that was never the intent. A train is coming. I'll finish up the story once it goes past. That's always one of the reasons we moved. The train's always so loud. So there you go. That's the problem with the train here at the office. But what we're going to put here, we're going to put the Autel Mini, the DC Mini charger, and it's a 40 kilowatt unit. We've named it Kevin, and it's the same one that you've seen strapped to a generator, you know, for our range run to zero stuff that we've done in the past. And it's such a hardy unit. It's such a great unit. And I have another one actually. So I'll still have another one that I've got some friends borrowing, and I'll get that back. And then the 40 kilowatt Autel will go here. The thing that I like about that is 40 kilowatts, perfect for office building charging. That is twice or 3 times or 4 times the power you're going to get from a level 2 station. So you can full charge your car. And of course you can, charge up quickly if you need to, but you're not like in a rush. You're not, plugging in, going to a meeting and then worried about idling your car at the charger. So 40 kilowatt charging is perfect for the dwell time here. It's dual CCS, but of course you can use a NACS adapter, and I will be giving that to CSU to have in place. I offered to return it back to the level 2 station that they had before, and I said I'm also happy to just give you my 40 kilowatt Autel, and you can keep that here. And they took that option, and that's what's going to go here is the 40 kilowatt Autel. So let's go see how this goes. It's time to dismantle this thing. Let's peek inside of the XCharge and see how it looks in there, because it's been a little while since I've seen this thing open. Hey guys, this is Dante, by the way. Dante, thanks so much for helping to do this.
Yeah, no problem. Yes.
So we're just opening up the door here, and I can see, from the bottom up, our AC to DC power modules. So that's what takes grid power, converts it to DC. Then we have our DC to DC buck boost modules. Not a single one has gone down in this thing.
Nope. Everything's doing pretty well.
That's impressive.
Right now, what we're doing is disconnecting all the capacitors, because we want to make sure we actually dissipate all the energy in here. And this one up here is still live, so we want to make sure my guys are good and make sure there's no power coming back.
That's right. Don't stick your fingers in anywhere while there's still some energy in there, basically. And we've shown all of this with the XCharge guys, all of their switching matrix and stuff. And this is actually the old unit. So they have a new version with like a giant screen on it. I think we're going to be installing one of those pretty soon. So stay tuned to the channel. But this has worked surprisingly well. I'm glad we're doing this in the wintertime, because in the vents somewhere, maybe around, don't know, there were some bees this year.
Yes.
But other than that, I think we've had no issues with this unit, other than some weird interop bugs, and we had to replace a cable because someone damaged it. But that's all just normal wear and tear. And they fixed everything. So I guess I'll show the viewers how it goes in the back. Thanks so much. Back here, we've got some cool stuff going on. This is the transformer that feeds, I think, the thermal systems for the battery pack. The new units, of course, don't require a transformer. This was like a weird jut out because this was such an early unit that we had access to. And this is where that post right there is where the 480 from the building comes up and feeds the whole situation. And that is exactly what we're going to be plugging the Autel into. The Autel should be able to do, I think, every bit of 40 kilowatts. We might have to derate it a few, like 38, 37 kilowatts, but we'll be able to max out this connection to get the charging power needed to charge up electric cars for the typical dwell time of an office building. Of course, we were really using this thing a lot more when we were here with high power charging. I've got something really cool in mind to do with this, but I'm happy that we'll still be able to have DC charging here for the folks who have gotten used to it here at the powerhouse, and maybe even some folks in town. I think the initial feeling is it's going to be locked down. This one we did open up like after hours for folks, but CSU does have interest in providing that for the community. So once they get that sorted, maybe you'll be able to come here and charge on the Autel. I'm just giving them the unit. I'm installing it for them. It's up to them to manage it however they would like. And I think it's such a cool situation. So great to see that the InfiPower power modules are working well. Shout out InfiPower, longtime sponsor of this channel. And I can tell you from experience, these things have worked on the hottest days and the coldest days nonstop. And it's been truly great to have the power modules and the whole unit. Man, it's going to be exciting. Can't wait to see how we're going to load it up. That's going to be real scary. All right, Zach, friend, colleague of a long time.
Howdy.
You got a lot of use out of this charger.
I did, yeah. I've been Ubering for a while, and I would go to Denver and come back and then hit this guy up on the way back. And I got it to pull 180 all the way to 50% on the Ioniq. So,
oh, wow. Pretty good.
Yeah, this thing was great.
We got to do an update video on your Ionna because we actually, the first time we ever met was because of that car.
Yeah, I DM'd you.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I got an Ioniq. Like, oh, really? We're now friends.
And that was one of the first ones, back when they were well over sticker, not to remind you.
Yeah, 5G's over.
Yeah.
But I did get $4,900 out of Electrify America on the free charging thing. So.
Oh, yeah, you used that.
Winning.
Okay, that's cool. So we got to do an update video because how many miles do you have on it now?
123,000.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And you keep running with the freaking roof box on there, which is killing your efficiency.
Oh, yeah. But it still has, it's like on a full charge, it'll show over 200, with the goof box on top.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
And I did the battery thing and it said 92% state of health or something on the battery.
8% loss, something like that. Okay. Not bad. Not bad.
It's been amazing.
Well, let's do an update video on that. So stay tuned to the channel. So we'll do that while we're here.
For sure. But yeah, man, it's sad to see this thing go.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Autel will be here. Again, CSU's managing it, not us, so probably not going to be open.
No. But that's fine,
But you had the free charging code here, so you got the hookup.
It was fun while it lasted, and I appreciate it. And thanks CSU for letting us do it.
Yeah, exactly. Big shout out to CSU for letting us put this here. This was just a testing experiment for us, and they really made that happen from our side. So big shout out to them.
The only thing I would suggest is I noticed that both sides weren't working. So if there was a Tesla Bro plugged in here, I would try to plug in, then it would time us both out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there was an issue with doing multiple charging at the same time.
If it was separated, it was cool.
What do you mean by separated?
Like if I was charging independently and no one was charging next
Oh, okay.
Fine. But then when someone was charging, you would plug in, it wouldn't allow the second car. It would continue the first car, but not allow the second.
Okay.
Both CCS and the Tesla. Because I tried my adapter one time when someone was doing the Tesla or CCS.
Yeah, okay. That's weird. So we definitely should get that fixed before our future plans for it, which we haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know if that'll...
in North Carolina is about to get a fast track.
Yes, but I've got something even cooler, Zach.
Even cooler.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Even cooler. I think this might just go to the track. I don't know yet. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, sorry we're taking your charger away.
Okay, man. It's all right. It was fun while it lasted. Appreciate the code.
So we're on the back side of the charger now, and I think we've got the transformer undone, and there's one line of cabling you were mentioning, right, that we've got to undo over here?
These three, because they feed through the bottom and they go and they use the charger as a raceway just to come back to the transformer.
Yep.
I don't want to cut them because that just makes
install
it hard for you guys later. So if I can get these out in one piece and just thread them back through and loop it all up.
Right, without having to unbolt all this.
All your transformer wires that went from the transformer to the charger, they've been pulled out and they've been rolled up and they're in the charger.
Great. That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah. In terms of the breakers and switchgear in here, do we need to turn it off? Because there's a big off switch.
So the power from here to here is all killed.
Yes.
Where this is coming from.
Okay. Because the battery still has power, so I just want you to be careful with that.
Oh, I'm just looking right now, kind
Yeah.
of like coming up with a game plan, but I'm gonna I'm gonna voltmeter these before I really start taking stuff apart.
Lay on it, because this thing's like an 800 volt system.
I feel like that would put a damper on my day.
You'd charge up real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because this thing's 233 kilowatt hours, 200 kilowatt output, 100 kilowatt input, but that of course will never happen with the grid connection that we've been using. It's a BYD battery. They use their own batteries now in the new ones, which we'll be able to showcase y'all sometime soon. And 820 volts full at 100%. Now, I wish I could have discharged this a little bit more. It's in the 60% range, which is fine. It's LFP. It's going to be storing just fine. It won't be in super hot temperatures. But I did, as soon as I knew we were going to pull this out yesterday, I had some of my friends come by, just top up their cars. I topped up the Polestar earlier, and in the software I was able to say, hey, stop charging the big battery, just run from the battery and do like a forced discharge. And that's exactly what we were able to do there. So it really doesn't seem like that big of a deal to do all of this, which is wonderful. That's the benefit of DC charging from a low power connection. We basically shut off the breakers inside, so the input from the building, those cables there have been shut off. We pulled the output here. And then the backside of this is, all of these are just wrapped up cabling that went to the transformer. Everything else is pretty much just going to stay as is inside of the actual dispenser cabinet. This is really the charger cabinet, we should say. And there's the battery's a standalone. We're just going to take those 3 wires out. And then the base, I think they do stay together. I have to really figure out how we're going to strap this on the trailer. That's going to be the hardest part, I think, to make sure we don't go down the road and have this thing fly off. That would be a real problem. So we need to be extra careful strapping. Just so you guys can see while we've got it open, you can see the LFP modules all up in here. And what we're doing is we're unhooking the battery from the base plate right there. So there's just a bunch of bolts that held it into place. And by we, I mean Win-Marion, not me. I'm of no help. All right, we got the straps on this thing, and it is forklift time, folks. This is it's gonna be a real process. I can't wait to see how this thing goes, but time to lift this sucker up. I did not get to see it get installed and go in, so all we're gonna do is pull up the battery and then drop it over here and then figure out what we got to do for the base plate, because I think we're going to assemble it like that when we throw it on the trailer, which is parked right over there right now. So they're getting it in there. Hell yeah. Oh, this is awesome. She's coming up. The guys got her fully disconnected, and time to see if we can pull her free. Feels sketchy. Holy smokes, that is 230 kilowatt hours suspended in the air. Oh my God. And all the cables associated. Holy smokes. All right, well, we're gonna get it loaded up onto the trailer now, so let's do that. So now the question is, can we try to shove it as far this way as possible?
So what I'm going to do is when I come down,
Yep.
back up, we'll pull the straps forward more and then pick it up again and give us another...
Smart. Man, that trailer loaded up over there, didn't it? Oh my gosh. Oh my God, the whole trailer's leaning over. Just working on getting it centered right now, and I think we're looking pretty damn good right there. It's a little forwards, but I think we can mount this one a little bit backwards. It's just we couldn't get the forklift to get it right over the rear tires, and I'd rather have a little bit more tongue weight than less. Thankfully, we have our WaySafe hitch, shout out WaySafe, and so we can make sure that we are not overloading the truck or trailer. Trailer can handle this no problem. So that's looking money right there. That's awesome. All right, I've got the battery strapped down. We ran to the store and got some real juicy straps. So I'll probably restrap all this before we head on the cross-country trip, but I'm just trying to get out of the parking lot. But that should be fine to get us down. We're getting the charger out here, and then it's just 2 more pieces, and we'll be loaded. We're gonna put this one towards the back of the trailer now, just to weight balance it out a little bit here. Well, it is many hours later after this morning. I think I've been here 12 hours. Dude, are you sad to see this thing go?
Yeah, I'll probably be more sad if I didn't have my own charging now, but...
Yeah, that's right. You've got level 1 and level 2 charging.
Yeah. I'll use my level 1, though, because it's in my garage, which is nice.
Hell yeah. So subscribe to Tesla Effects. You've had some huge TikToks recently, doing quite a bit. There's your Model Y performance. And let's do one quick load check before we go. I think we have, like, the most amount of straps possible.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this many straps on a trailer before.
Yeah.
Just this.
I'd say it's pretty secure. Let's hope. I've only got one strap on this thing. We've got loose keys up there, so we got to grab that. I got to check tire pressures. They're definitely under some load, but I think everything's looking pretty safe. We're just going to go 2 miles down to the hub and then reassess the situation. So, yeah, this is definitely just like throwing straps on everything.
Hopefully it stays down.
Yeah, hopefully she stays locked and loaded, but maybe you can follow me, pick up any pieces that fall off.
Yeah.
You should definitely get a video of what this looks like following behind. It's got to be hilarious. All right, cool. Rock and roll off to the hub. Okay, just ahead of pulling out of here, I just want to check our tongue weight. So we are at just under 2,000 pounds, and this is a 2,200 pound max tongue weight. And the Super Duty's a 350. It can handle that, no prob, I think. I hope. Anyway, it's going to have to for 2 miles. Let's go. So we made the trek back to the hub. You can see we made it in no problem. I am going to restrap that entire load before we head to the East Coast. I've actually got a couple different things I need to move around. That'll be for a different video. So a huge shout out to Winmarion for dismantling this charger, and they'll also be the ones to install the Autel coming up as well. Fantastic company. If you need to install any high power equipment, they're the ones to go with. Some numbers on the XCharge for the time that it was installed with us. We were the original users of this. It wasn't a used unit or anything. So I pulled the lifetime data from the charger, and I think you guys will find some really interesting trends. At least I did. So in total, from the second we turned it on to the second we shut it down, we delivered 89,885 kilowatt hours. So basically 90 megawatt hours of dispensing energy out of this thing, which is a lot considering we replaced a level 2 7 kilowatt EVSE that was mostly being used by Nissan Leafs. We put another level 2 on the other side of the parking lot that they can slow charge on. And this actually, for a office building with no local amenities, dispensed a ton of energy. Our average charging duration, this is interesting, was 37.23 minutes. So the average charge that's across the whole lifetime of the charger is 37 minutes. Now that's probably somewhat non-representative because I know at least I did a couple like plug in, make sure it worked, unplug, plug in, make sure it works. It's probably, for people actually charging, they're probably closer to 40 minutes average charging time, which is a long time. And it really goes to show that putting in a lower power 40 kilowatt charger is going to be just fine in a location like this where people are spending quite a bit of time. The average charging duration also does not include idle time. I couldn't find a way to gather the idle time metric. We never charged an idle fee, but there you go. In total, we had 2,583 charging sessions, which equals an average electricity dispensed per session of around 35 kilowatt hours. So little top-ups here and there. But again, that's average. There's been some sessions where I took a Chevy Silverado EV from 0 to 100% on that charger to see how it would do. And we have all those videos on the channel. So there's some big numbers for you. Now, even more interesting data. Because we had CCS on one side and NACS on the other side, we're really able to see the practical utilization of CCS and the NACS port. Now, Tesla, at least when we first installed this station, they were the only ones with NACS ports natively on their vehicles. The adapter had already just come out, and now here we are a year and a half later, and so many new cars are launching with native J3400 or NACS. But even with all of that, our CCS port had 1,765 sessions, and our NACS port had just over 800 sessions, which means 68.3% of all charging was done with CCS. And only 31.7% was done with J3400. So a huge preference towards the CCS dispenser on here. And in total, 66.5 megawatt hours were dispensed by CCS, while only 23 megawatt hours were dispensed through our native NACS connection. Now, I was really proud of the fact that we were one of the early native NACS chargers in really in the country, and especially in the Colorado area. And you can see most Tesla owners probably just didn't go there to charge. They didn't need to. And so, yeah, I think it's also somewhat representative of the vehicles that people at the powerhouse also drive. Many powerhouse members have electric vehicles. Very few of them are Teslas. I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 Teslas in the parking lot and a whole host of everything else there. And it really shows we have some great, incredible choice in the market, and people are taking advantage of that choice. So what's interesting is 74% of the total energy dispensed was done on the CCS side. So we had more sessions, but even a higher percentage of energy, which meant that the CCS charges were 37.7 kilowatt hours on average per session, while the NACS charges were only 28.6 kilowatt hours per session. So not only do we have less usage on the NACS side, we had less charging duration by a big difference on that side. So on average, CCS users typically took around 9 kilowatt hours more per stop than the NACS cars. Read into this what you will. Some of this data may or may not matter. I just found it super interesting. And then I got into the power. I was really curious to say, okay, how fast were some of the cars charging? Now, it's a little bit of a skewed number because it wasn't until later on in the life of the charger did we upgrade the cables to do more power. So at first, I think we were like 300 amps. Then we upped them to 400 amps in boost. And yeah, doesn't really matter too much. But for a large duration of the charger's life, the NACS port could output more power than the CCS side. So it's not totally accurate. But on average, the CCS port 1, was 1.05 kilowatt hour per minute, which is 63 kilowatt average during the charging window. So during that average of around 35 kilowatt hours per session, the CCS side did an average of 63 kilowatt output. Port 2, the NACS side, was a higher average speed, 1.14 kilowatt hour per minute, which is 68 kilowatts average during the charging window. So NACS sessions were a little bit shorter but had a little bit higher power, and the CCS sessions were a little bit lower power with a little longer duration, which ultimately meant we sent more electricity through that CCS port on average per session. So clearly on a station like this, there's a much higher percentage of CCS drivers on the road right now. And I think we're seeing that in networks like Ionna, for example, and BP Pulse and others, where Ionna will basically install NACS and CCS at certain sites. And you can tell they're always doing a bit more CCS than NACS. And then as the whole car market shifts to more J3400 or NACS charging sessions, you'll see those stations start to do more NACS cables. But clearly, based off of the data from our charging station here and based off of what we see in the real world from Ionna's mix of CCS and NACS, especially on their newer stations, it's still predominantly heavy CCS cars charging out there. And I think a lot of Tesla owners, or a lot of vehicles that have NACS ports, which are primarily Teslas right now, in terms of mix of vehicles on the road, they just use superchargers. So that's been all the data. That was really fun to go through, and maybe I'll do a whole out of spec bits episode with the guys from XCharge, just having them help me parse through all the data from this thing, because I want it to be an educational experience. But the cool thing is we did all of that energy delivered by replacing a level 2 charging station, which is wild. And because it charged up a big battery buffer and then it nicely drained the battery into the cars, we never had a demand charge. It just sat running full load the whole time. Really an awesome situation. So what comes next for the charger? Well, I don't 100% know yet. I've got 2 options I'd like to explore with it. I actually have quite a few battery integrated chargers right now. I have this XCharge unit. I have 3 FreeWire DC fast chargers that I've made a video on, and they are in permitting process right now to be installed at the track and at our buddy Dave's shop. So videos coming soon. Our friends at InCharge Energy are installing those free of charge to us, which is a huge bonus. And I will give you guys all the details on that when it's the appropriate time. But the FreeWire stuff is happening. So I'm going to have the battery integrated or battery buffered chargers at the track. I want to do something kind of interesting with this XCharge. I also want to play around with the new XCharge GridLink, which looks beautiful. And I'd love to do a completely off-grid solar powered DC charger as sort of a thought experiment. And I think the guys at XCharge want to support us in that as well, which would be great. So there's a real abundance of charging going to be going in at the track, and some big projects I haven't told you about. So how about this as an idea? And it's not finalized, it's not formalized. I would love to put this XCharge DC charger at the tail of the Dragon. That is my intention. That is my goal. My buddy Daryl runs the Killboy stand. He takes photos of cars in that area, enthusiasts driving through. It's always a pain as an electric car driver. A lot of my friends, like Logan, who works for us, he takes his Model 3 Performance to the Dragon. He's like, dude, I can't charge. I'm like, I know, I go there. We get 1 run if you're on it hard enough, and then you got a level 2 charge for the rest of the day. No, that doesn't cut it. We need high power DC charging at the best enthusiast roads out there. So I'm thinking Tail the Dragon or Newcomb's Ranch at the top of Angeles Crest or something like that, where we can start to utilize these battery integrated units on enthusiast driving roads. The intention would be to provide charging free of charge, completely at 0 cost. It would just be, our way of saying thank you, and also our selfish way of providing energy for our own cars when we're out ripping our favorite roads. I haven't done anything official other than just chatting with Daryl, and he's saying, yes, I would love to host the charging. I think Topoko would be an even better location, which is at the bottom of the Dragon. It's along a river, beautiful restaurant. So we've got to go out there. I've got to meet with some people. I know quite a few people in the area. I've been going for years and years out that way. It's my home away from home. And I would love to figure out some place where they would let us drop this charger and have a slow grid connection. So if you have any ideas, or if you know anyone at Topoko or whatever, let me know. So with that said, that is us dismantling the XCharge DC charger, the Net Zero series. The next chapter will be really interesting to see where it goes. Can't wait to do something fun with it. But for now, a big thanks to CSU Powerhouse for letting us host the charger there for so long. I hope the Autel 40 kilowatt serves them well. We'll of course be staying friends and in touch with those folks. The Powerhouse is an amazing building with an amazing team and a really cool mission to focus on decarbonization out for many different projects around the planet. They're really involved in many things you would be very surprised to hear. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. More things coming with the Net Zero series soon. We got to figure out where to drop that thing. Thanks for watching. See you in another one again soon. Bye-bye.